Might be right, yes.
Okay.
I believe that's true.
So
Yes, that's correct.
The sales tax increase would take
Okay,
it.
but can I
Okay.
just make one statement before we go on? I wanted to say that 0.15% is dedicated to law enforcement of that VLF fee. So that's what we were talking about before, about the VLF backfill. So, yes, I want to reemphasize that vehicle license fee is not a voter approval. That is a fee, and that's one of their strategies at the state to be able to push this through. So, now, Supervisor Pinches, please, if you had a question on the
Then
next
I
one.
just want to go down the list.
Okay.
This next one, the gas tax, that will take voter approval, right?
This sales tax?
Yes. the
Sales tax would take voter approval.
Well,
Okay.
that actually got knocked out.
No, the gas,
No.
12 cents a gallon
Okay.
got knocked out.
Right.
Yes, the gasoline tax on the next bullet point is no longer in effect.
Yeah,
That's that.
okay.
Confused.
Okay? And then Californians would pay a new surcharge on their personal income tax amounting to 2.5% of their total tax bills. I don't know if that's a typo, but I think it's 0.25, and that's a typo on my part. I apologize. So,
Is it 2.5?
it's 0.25. 0.25. Not 2.5. Okay?
Okay.
So, in the recent state budget proposals updates, this was as of February 17th, and as I stated, Williamson Act, library and public safety programs as proposed in the January proposal were not slated for cuts. And the other portion of what we're seeing in the vetoes that I did pick up on that I wanted to inform the board was, I'm not quite sure yet, but for 2009-10, I believe, the governor is proposing once again, to cut the Indian Gaming Special Distribution Fund, or borrowing from that. So, but I wasn't sure by the way that the information was passed down to us from the state, whether it was a 2008-09 impact or 2009-10. So I'm going to have to look further into that impact. And the reductions that are coming forward and some of the programs being impacted that I would like to inform the board on the economic stimulus package. Some program reductions may be reduced if the federal stimulus funds offset 9 to 10 billion in state costs. These include IHSS and Medi-Cal reductions and income tax hike. The income tax hike proposal, cutting it in half. University funding will be restored. CalWorks grants will be restored. And public safety programs, rural law enforcement, and drug enforcement programs will be restored somewhat using the federal stimulus package to be determined. And I think that is it as far as all of my updates at this time. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to answer this portion of the segment.
Okay, you're going to go into our mid-year budget review after this, right?
Yes.
Okay, before I do that, any members of the public want to speak on this? Tony?
Boy, that's dire news. Let's get a little more positive. Let's talk about the 811 bond program and the ability through joining together to actually loan our private property owners the monies to upgrade their private properties to generate sales tax and additional property tax into our revenue stream and begin to turn America around through the green energy economy. And so I'm just kind of bringing a lot of the things I've said this morning here together in that when you go off to Washington this week, we really need to get, Congress is going to be working on their energy bill immediately, and if we can get the feds to come up with monies for the 811 bonding program, we can put America back to work. There's a lot of excitement by our residents of Mendocino County and throughout the state of California to become energy independent. This is a way to move us forward into that new economy we need to get started. So again, let's look at the ways we can work together to reestablish our new economy. Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak at this point? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, some more dry material. So moving forward into your Exhibit C, I've provided the board with bullet points on our second quarter mid-year update. I just want to start off by stating that typically, for the mid-year budget report, this is basically our kickoff for the 2009-10 budget. Normally, in the last few years, just as a sign of the economy, we've come in with some rather good news, with some fund balance that we could possibly use towards helping us with the next fiscal year's budget. But as we've anticipated, and pretty much right on, this bullet point will pretty much depict the shortfalls that we were anticipating all along and through our negotiation process. The second quarter budget projections were based on all county departments' estimates of projections for their budgets through fiscal year 08-09. Mid-year budget reductions are included in the department's projections based on the 18-month governor's January proposed state budget released on December 31st. Projections could change based on any additional impacts pending special sessions, or the governors may revise. Projections did not include any pending or anticipated voluntary or mandatory time off days other than those actually taken, and that was January 2nd, and any VTO times taken up to that point. Also, these projections could change pending federal economic stimulus funding. The second quarter fiscal year 08-09 preliminary projections by departments indicate a projected shortfall in the amount of $3,697,502. If available contingency funds in Budget Unit 9991 for the amount of $522,455 are used to offset the shortfall, then the net shortfall for fiscal year is projected to be $3,175,047. Including the mental health deficit as projected to be $1,767,665, the total overall projected shortfall would be $4,182,712 for fiscal year 08-09. Or another way to view this would be the general fund shortfall, taking out the HHSA projected shortfalls, would be $2.4 million. The following are some of the key variances noted for the second quarter for fiscal year 08-09 adopted budget. As our auditor has stated, Budget Unit 1000 is projected to have a downturn for the various items that she has already discussed, such as supplemental property taxes, penalties, costs, sales tax, public safety, and I won't go into all of the details. This projection does not include the Williamson Act, however, and this discretionary revenue budget is projected to have an overall decrease in anticipated budgeted revenue by approximately $1,695,965. And as our auditor did state, there is a slight $80,000 variance due to the geothermal revenue that was unanticipated. Criminal justice, starting forward. In Budget Unit 2010-2012, which is the court collections budget, trial court funding, these budgets are projected to be slightly under the targeted budgeted net county costs due to increase in revenue from civil fees and payments to the state. These budgets are projected to be slightly under by $27,608. In the sheriff's budget, the following projections are key highlights for the budget unit based on actual data. As of January 15th, and that number could change, there were 3 vacant positions out of 104, including grant positions. The overtime year-to-date is at 56 at mid-year. Extra helpers projected to be over budget year-to-date and is exceeded in this line item as of this quarter report. The sheriff is projecting to be over budget in net county cost by $824,589. In Budget Unit 2510, the jail, the following projections are key highlights for this budget unit based on actual data. As of January 15th, there were 6 vacant positions out of 80 positions. Overtime year-to-date is at 72% mid-year. Extra help is projected to be over budget year-to-date and is exceeded as of this quarter report. The sheriff is projecting to be over budget in net county costs by $275,827. In addition, the sheriff has stated that they have worked on various things to project reducing this shortfall, and I've also included comments that the sheriff's office has felt that even during the fiscal year 2008-09, beginning of the fiscal year, there was anticipated $2.2 million